Who's excited to be here today? Who's excited about making more money in your business? Yay, that's why we're all here. Today what I'm going to be talking about, I have sort of a unique title, Be the Boss. And B.O.S. stands for Blue Ocean Strategy. And Blue Ocean Strategy is a revolutionary method that I pulled from this book.
I need to get in here.
Okay, so if anybody wants to get this book, Blue Ocean Strategy, and that's what I'm going to be teaching from today. Okay, so you can get on Amazon, that's where I got the book. And I'm actually trained and certified in this topic. So who's ready to get started? Woohoo! Ready? Okay. Welcome to your future. The future is bright. Here at Triple Play, the future is bright in your real estate business. How many brokerage owners do we have here today? Okay, wonderful. How many real estate agents or broker associates? Okay, great. Awesome. Welcome, everybody. Today's presentation will go over, first of all, the B.O.S.S concept, and then creating value with customers, dominating your new market, and then we're going to talk about innovative by design. It's going to be a lot about innovation. So are you ready to be innovative in your market? I have a little story. You can see my sharks up there. My story is when I first started as a real estate agent, right out of high school, I went to college. I majored in real estate, which is sort of unusual for somebody that young, and business. And I got a dual AA degree, and then I got hired by a top real estate agent. And she said, I need somebody to come and run my property management business, be my administrative assistant, and do my books. So I said, wow, that sounds perfect. So I was learning a lot from her. She was a great mentor. And one day she came into the office and she handed me a bill. It was for $500 from her realtor association. I said, what is that bill for? She said, it's a fine. I said, a fine? Why would you get fined? I mean, this is like your industry, your people. She said, well, one of my ads was incorrect and somebody turned me in. I thought, that's weird. Why would people turn each other in? I said, do you know who did it? She said, it's somebody in my office, right? So I thought, what if somebody in your office knew your ad was wrong, why wouldn't they just come up and say, hey, your ad is wrong, do you want to fix it so you don't get a fine? Why would they go and turn me in instead? So that was my very first introduction to the real estate industry, what I call shark eat shark, right? How many have seen that before, right, in our industry? And it is a tough real estate industry. And there are a lot of us. And as a matter of fact, there are more real estate agents and brokers than there are customers to be served, which creates what? It creates heavy competition. So that's why we're here today, to learn how to make the competition irrelevant. I already talked a little bit about me, but I'm a real estate brokerage owner. I've owned California Coast and Country Homes, so now you know where I'm from, right? And been a brokerage owner for almost 30 years, written a few books, and my mission today is to elevate the standards of professionalism in our industry. And I know you share that goal, and that's why you're here as well. So this is my certificate of completion from Blue Ocean Strategy that I'll be talking about today. The classes that I took to be certified to teach this topic. It is a copyrighted term. A lot of the concepts are copyrighted, and that's why I recommend that you get the book as well. Okay. So the Titanic sunk because the captain failed to recognize the icebergs under the water. Does that sound like real estate? We're in a great market right now, pretty much, right? Would you agree? How many of us lived through the bad market 10 years ago and we're still here to talk about it, okay? Okay, another market is going to be coming. We don't know if it's going to be up or down. We don't know how it's going to shift. Okay. And when that market comes, will you be ready? So we said the Titanic didn't navigate the icebergs under the water. They saw the icebergs that they could see, but what was under the water? And that's like our real estate industry. What's hiding under the water that we don't know until our ship hits it, right? Is your brokerage, is your agency prepared for the market? Are you prepared for disruption? Is it coming? Absolutely. Are you prepared for a depression? Are you prepared for disaster in the ocean? So, do you think a market downturn is coming? So we have 3 answers to that, just a little quick poll. A is, yes, I see a market downturn coming within the next year. B is, probably, but I don't know when. And C is, no, real estate will always keep going up and up. How many think A, within 1 year? Okay. How many think B, eventually? How many think C, the market will never change, it will always keep going up and up? Nobody raised their hand. What does that tell you? We need to be ready, right? So our goal today is to learn how to innovate and lead the market. We don't want to get stuck in the sand with our boat grounded on shore when the economy changes, because we know that's coming. So what are the advantages of being innovative and thinking ahead and leading the competition? First of all, recognizing trends in the marketplace, knowing what's coming up. Secondly, master the innovation process and how that happens. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'll be leading you through an innovation process. Next, we can fill a need that's been previously untapped, undiscovered, unidentified in the market. Next, we're going to take a leadership position because we have something that's differentiated. We have something unique that others don't have, and instead of us copying them, they're going to copy us. And lastly, how important is it to stay ahead of market changes, right? We all agree with that. That's what we took our little poll about. Okay, so what kind of economy are we in? So let's think of, this is from a book called The Art of Innovation, another excellent book. I hope you are writing down these books so you can get them on Amazon or your favorite source later. So there's 4 types of economies. So back in the olden times, right, for many of us that wasn't too far long ago, that's the commodity economy. In that type of economy, mom buys all the ingredients, the flour, the sugar, and she bakes a birthday cake from scratch. Next came the product economy. Well, let's take a little shortcut. Mom doesn't want to buy all these ingredients and keep them on hand. Mom just goes to the store, buys a birthday mix, adds a little water, and then bakes the cake and puts some candles on it. What came after that? The next development was the service economy. Mom's too busy working. She calls the bakery or Costco and orders a cake, and they put your name on it, and then you have a birthday party. We have now developed into the next type of economy. That is called the experience economy. People don't just want a service. They don't just want a product. They want an experience, right? They want something that can be memorable moment. So in this one, our example is everybody goes to Chuck E. Cheese. You have a party there, they host it, and at the end you have a birthday cake. So do you see how this might be able to relate to real estate? Do you see how clients don't necessarily just want a service, maybe they want an experience. So think for a moment, how can you offer an experience? What is your business model? Is it traditional? You see our favorite guy up there, right? Or is your business model innovative? Okay, so that's something to think about. What are the barriers to implementing innovation? Well, first we know there are geographic or national barriers, sometimes when you want to innovate. We also know there are cultural influences. The biggest hurdle, the biggest barrier to innovation is actually right here, between my eyes. It's our mindset. Today we're going to shift our mindset a little, because a lot of us have heard this saying, or we've said it ourselves, that's not the way we've always done it. How many of you have heard somebody saying that, right? We've always done it this way. Or they're resistant to change. People don't like to change, and you know what? I don't blame them. I'm adverse to change too, because change is new and different. It's unexpected, it's scary, and we don't know where we're going, but change is necessary. It's a part of the marketplace, and the market's going to keep changing whether we like it or not. And if we're not changing and adapting and leading, what's going to happen? We're going to be left behind when the market changes. So what is inhibiting your creative zone? Well, there was a study by the National Science Foundation, and in the study they found that we humans have between 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts we're processing in our mind every day. That seems like a lot, doesn't it? But of those, surprisingly, 95% are the same repetitive thoughts that we had the day before, and the day before, and the day before. What does that tell you? You're doing the same thing. You're in a habit, right? And the worst part is 80% of those thoughts are negative. So what are you telling yourself? What is your self-talk? Are you wondering why you can't break out of, you're stuck in a cycle and you can't break out? Maybe it's the self-talk, maybe it's the mindset, and that's what we're going to start shifting today. Albert Einstein said, you can't solve problems using the same kind of thinking you used to create them. So now we have to think outside the box. We have to think of something new and different that we didn't think of or we didn't know before. Okay? So right now, what I'd like to ask everybody to do is to put on your creativity cap. Yes, it's imaginary. Because we're going to be diving into some new territory here. And in order to understand these concepts and wrap your mind around them, we're going to have to shift our thinking a little bit. So raise your hand if you're with me. You're going to be in the creative zone from now till the end of the topic. Okay, everybody. All right, you're with me. Okay, let's keep going here. Let's first take a poll. What are you seeking to innovate? Are you A, looking for a new brokerage to start up? B, revamp your existing brokerage or your business? Or C, something else? Okay, how many are A? Okay, all right, we have a few. How many are B? Revamp. Okay, that's most of us. How many are C? Something else. And it could be personal too. It doesn't necessarily have to be business. You can use these strategies I'm going to teach you for just about everything. So welcome to Blue Ocean Strategy. Now, what is Blue Ocean Strategy? Blue Ocean Strategy is profitability without competition. Now you're thinking, that's weird. How can that happen? It happens two ways. Number one, by lowering your operational costs, and number two, by raising customer value for your customers. You can offer innovative services based on customer demand, and most importantly is to find new non-customers. Wouldn't you agree that we all go after the same customers? You, your competitors, the brokerage down the street, the agents across the way, you're all vying for the same customers, right? So how do we expand that market or create a new market? So that's our blue ocean. We're sailing away to a blue ocean. What blue ocean strategy is not? Okay, blue ocean strategy is not competing head-to-head with other brokerages and other agents. It's not about chasing the hottest new trend in technology, and it's not necessarily about disruption per se. So let's talk about what is the current strategy that most businesses use, most of us. Oh, and by the way, blue ocean strategy is not necessarily just being cheaper than your competitors, because that could only last for so long, right? So here we have red ocean strategy. What's happening there? Right, we have ships firing at each other, and it's turned the water bloody red. That's our red ocean strategy. That's the current state of the real estate industry, which is we're all competing to be the best. So we're competing either on one of two things, either price or service. What happens when you compete on price? It's easily matched. Okay, anybody else?
Commoditized.
Okay, I'm saying, guess what? We'll sell your house for 6% commission, and then the brokerage across the street says, now we're going to sell your house for 5%, and then the next person says, well, we'll do 4%, the next one does 3%. After a while, you're having to pay them to sell their house, right? Okay? So what happens when you're competing on price is there is no exit because everybody's competing on price, and the only thing that can happen is your value gets lower and your profit gets lower and lower and lower, right? I see a few of you nodding to that one. What about competing on service, right? What happens? Oh, we're going to offer you 10 things. Oh, come over here. We're going to offer you 11. Oh, come to this brokerage. We're going to offer you a whole list of 20 things, right? And then people are just competing on services that really become worthless to the consumer after a while. So red ocean strategy is trying to be better, faster, or cheaper, copying your competitors, or growing by acquiring your competitors. It's in close together. That's not real growth. So here we have Jaws, right? The ocean is red and bloody because we're firing cannonballs at each other. People are jumping off the ship, and here comes the shark turning the ocean bloody red. So let's take a little poll here. Who would you say are your primary competitors? Would that be local franchises and independent brokers locally? Or do you think your competitors are giant corporations with tons of capital and funding in their pocket? And I'm not going to say any names of companies or brokerages from this stage, but you know, you have seen that there are some big corporations entering the market. Some of us are a little worried about that, right? Or would you say you don't have any competitors because you're so unique? Okay, so A, how many would say local brokerages or indie companies, franchises? Okay, how many would say B, giant corporations with capital, tons of billions of dollars in funding? How many would say C, we don't have any competition because we're unique? Okay, I'm going to share with you for C, if you really are doing something unique, you're either a blue ocean strategy like we're talking about today, or perhaps you don't have any competitors because there's no market for it either. So let's think about that and keep going. My quote of the day is, to cross the ocean, you must have courage to lose sight of the shore, right? That's a little scary. That's risky. But guess what? Growth and development comes with risk. It's inherent. You want to minimize that risk, but there will be risk, and the bigger the opportunity, the bigger the risk that comes with it, right? So we have a little comparison here. The difference between red ocean strategy and blue ocean strategy. So, by the way, everything is from the book. I know there's some people taking photos. I'm just going to hold up the book one more time real quick. Okay, so that's from this book, Blue Ocean Strategy, again available on Amazon. Red ocean strategy means you're competing in an existing market space, versus blue ocean strategy, you're creating uncontested new market space. Red ocean strategy, you're trying to beat the competition, which in real estate it will never end because there's unlimited competition, whereas in blue ocean strategy, you don't care about the competition. They're irrelevant because you're doing something that they're not. In red ocean strategy, you're exploiting the existing demand. In blue ocean strategy, you're creating and capturing new demand that didn't exist before. In red ocean strategy, you're making the value cost trade-off. What that means is, do customers get value, lower value, or do they pay lower prices? There's a trade-off there. But in blue ocean strategy, you're breaking that because they get both. You're adding more value and you're lowering your cost. So in red ocean strategy, you're going to align the whole system of the firm's activities with its strategic choice of differentiation or low cost, whereas in blue ocean strategy, you're going to align the whole system in pursuit of differentiation and low cost simultaneously, which I'm going to show you how to do. To learn a little bit about this topic and find out what it is, I'm going to share a few examples that are not real estate. So so you can grasp it a little better. So the first one is Cirque du Soleil. Is that how you say it? Okay, Soleil. Okay, I'm bad at pronunciation, so I was reading off of there. And we have, I'm in California. We have Nevada close to us. We go to Las Vegas, watch a show. How many have seen their shows already? Okay, I think they have them in New York, right? And okay, so how many people would say that they're a circus? No, nobody would say that. How many people would say they're a theater? Sort of, right? But not really. So what they did is they explored a brand new market that didn't exist before. They created something new. They noticed that when people went to the circus, there were some things people liked and some things people didn't like. And things that were important to the circuses were not necessarily important to the consumers. So what they did is they took those things that were important and they created a new market space. So if you think about what the animal acts, that's really not important. But the acrobatics, that is important to consumers. But yet the circuses focus on those type of things. The circuses focus on giving away peanuts, and that's really not important to consumers. What do they want? They want an experience, right? They want something a little more high-end. Who are the consumers in the circus? Who are the main people that go? Children, families, right? And how much do the tickets cost? Not very much. But who goes to the theater? Adults, looking probably for an escape, a getaway weekend, right? Maybe with the spouse or with friends. And do they pay for high-end tickets? Absolutely. So what this company did is create brand new market space that didn't exist before because they did something that nobody else was doing, and they found a new segment of customers that didn't exist. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, great. Let's keep going to the next one. By the way, this little thing up here, these are called strategy grids, and we're going to go over those in a few minutes, but you can sort of see how the star performers and animal shows and aisle concessions, so that's really important in the circus, but customers really didn't care about that. So you can see where they eliminated some of that, right, and started without that. What about the Nintendo Wii? How many of us have those? What new market space did that open up? Adults, okay, and being active, right? Instead of just, teenagers sitting there with their thumbs and doing their video game. So you can see the whole family's getting involved and we're together. So that is the Wii. That's an example of creating new uncontested market space. What about Southwest Airlines? How many of us have flown Southwest? We just flew yesterday, okay? What market space did they open up?
We got it.
Right? Instead of competing with other airlines, they're competing with driving a car because they're generally, when they started, they're short flights. Right? So they open up a brand new market space by not going after the existing competition, but creating brand new customers that didn't exist before. What about Airbnb? What about Lyft? What about, has anybody heard of Smile Direct? It's like Invisalign, but a little less expensive. So instead of going to the dentist and getting braces, which costs a lot of money, takes a lot of time, and it has to be approved by your dentist, say the cost is, say, $10,000. Now, they can send you a little kit in the mail. You take your impression of your teeth, send it back, and then they're going to send you some little plastic retainers you put in your mouth. And now, $2,000. So now they've opened up the whole market to previously non-customers, people that wouldn't have gone to the dentist. Does that make sense? Okay, everybody's good? Okay, so now we have the first concept I like to talk about for Blue Ocean Strategy, which is reduce your operational costs and raise your buyer value, and you put them together, that's the value innovation. So what that means is your operational cost is how much it costs you to operate, not the price, right, to the consumer or your as they call it here, a buyer or a customer. But it's raising buyer value because you're providing more of what they want, not what necessarily the industry has always offered over and over again. But you take a hard look and see, okay, we're offering this and this and this to our customers, but I don't know that they even really care about that. We just do it because everybody else does it. Everybody else has always done it. So we're going to take a critical look and say, hey, maybe we can reduce our costs by eliminating some of these things that we don't need, and then by doing that, we can lower our costs and we can find new customers who are willing to pay a higher price and then a higher net profit to us. Okay? So now we're going to wave our magic wand and create value. So this is the independent brokerage model. And here we have a brokerage with 3 agents. Each of the agents has buyers and sellers. Does that look familiar to everybody? Okay? So where are the operational costs lowered? Where is additional client value created? And where is the intersection of additional profit margin where number 1 and number 2 overlap? So if you're a brokerage, who are your customers? Agents, right? If you're an agent, who are your customers? Buyers and sellers. Now, an argument could also be made for the brokerage that they also have 2 sets of customers, right? The agents are their primary customers, and the buyers and sellers are your secondary customers. So if you're an agent, you're looking at providing value to buyers and sellers. If you're a brokerage owner, you want to provide value to your agents and the buyers and sellers. So you're going to be looking at both markets. Now, if you're a brokerage, you have multiple offices. Say, here's the brokerage, here's the office manager, here's agents. Now, if you're the brokerage owner, who are your customers now? Right, the office managers of the offices. Over here, if you have a franchise, you're a franchisor, and you have brokerages under your franchise. Now, who are your customers? Right, the brokerage owners. So, by understanding who your customers are, and then taking a look at what they want, we can figure out how to change the business model and how to change the paradigm. That's what we're going to look at next. So you need to know who your clients are. Are there opportunities for creating more value? Who thinks there are opportunities for creating more value? Okay, great. That means that, guess what? Consumers or agents are tired of the same old thing. They want something new and different. So how do we create value? Here we have, anybody know what car that is? The Ford Model T, right? The first model that Henry Ford created. So, his famous quote is, if I had asked the customers what they wanted, they would have said they wanted a faster horse. But he knew what they wanted and anticipated without them knowing that they wanted it. As an example, think of your iPhone that you have today, right? If somebody had come up to you 20 years ago and said, do you want an iPhone that'll solve all your problems? You would probably think, wow, that's weird. That's crazy, right? But today we can't live without them. That's an example of somebody anticipated the market, they innovated, and they created something to where the market was going to be before it got there by anticipating what customers really wanted when customers themselves didn't even know what they wanted. So it's our job as brokers or as agents to know what our customers want and need, and we do this 2 ways. Number 1, we survey them, we talk to them, and we find out what they want and need. But even more, we go through a process of discovery where we find out what they want and need that they don't know they want and need. And that's where the jackpot is. That's where the pot of gold is. If you can find out what customers want and need that they don't even know they want and need yet. Okay, so that goes through a 4-step cycle, which is number 1, discovery. You discover customer wants and needs through research, you study their values, and then number 2, you articulate it. You have concrete, tangible plans, and you translate that into your ideas. And number 3 is then you innovate. right? That means you're going to have prototypes. You're going to create services and products to meet their needs. And then number 4, refine it. That's where you test it, you get feedback, you measure and improve it. So we have a little case study here called Short Sale Realty. So by the way, I'm going to be now diving into applying these principles to real estate. I will not be mentioning any real estate companies by names, and all of the examples I'm giving you are fictitious, things that I thought of either my own business planning or whatever, but they're generic examples, so they're not about anybody. So I was thinking of, during the downturn, why not have a company called Short Sale Realty? We focus only on short sales. As some of you knew, that many of you have lived through that downturn in the market, there's a little issue with short sales in that it's really hard to get the bank to approve them. So I thought, well, what if I could have double-ended? And I know that's illegal in some states. In California, it's perfectly fine. But wouldn't that be great? Then I would make sure that I control the process, make sure the bank approves my short sale. Wouldn't that be fabulous? So the characteristic would be attempting to lock out competitors. So I may have identified a new non-customer niche, but honestly, it didn't lower my operational costs. It didn't create value for my customers. I'm working harder because now I need more quantity to be profitable. And the bad part is it's successful only in banker markets, which is a down market, and what happens when the market changes. Now I'm out of business. And what else? It depends on cooperation from big banks. And last of all, it might be bordering on unethical conduct and a lack of fiduciary duty to my sellers. So this is a red. This is a no-go. This is a red ocean. Okay? Now let's flip it and look at another one. What about Renovation Realty? And this is not a name of a company. I created this, made this up myself, okay? So in this one, the brokerage finances upgrades to the house before selling it. So how many of us have went to meet with the seller at a listing appointment and their house needed work? Raise your hand. Okay, just about everybody. And the seller said, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have the resources, I don't even know where to start, but I want to upgrade it because I want to get the most money for my house. So what if you could help with that process? What if you could be the one that could supply the capital and they pay you at close of escrow, they get a higher purchase point, you get a customer that nobody else can get because you've done something new and innovative that nobody else could. Okay? So that's something to think about. That's just an example. In this one, you've created additional value. You've lowered the operational costs. You identified a new customer niche. And the best part is there's no competition. I don't even know of anybody doing this. There might be somebody, okay, but I'm just saying it's not well known and I don't know of anybody. So in my market, I would be the first. So this could work with estate sales, probate, FSBO, absentee owners. Those are all people, niches that we know of that want their house renovated before they sell. Wouldn't that be a good market? Okay? Does everybody see how we can take these principles and apply them to your brokerage and your union agent? Everybody getting that? Okay? So we go through the design phases. The first is inspiration. That's your motivation behind your activity. Next you have the idea where you generate, develop, and test ideas. And then you have implementation where you put it on the market. So we already saw, we looked at an idea. Next you would find out, plan out how would you execute this idea. So now we have, there's a little activity. Who are your customers on Lost Island? So this is about identifying your needs, your customers' needs and wants. If you have a worksheet, it's on there. If not, you can sketch it out, or you can do it later at home. We're not going to have time to do it in here. Or you can just get the book I've been talking about, and there you can see the activities in there. Okay. So the first step is find out who are your primary customers, who are your secondary customers, what needs and wants do they have that are not being fulfilled by your competitors and by the industry in general. Okay, so now we're going to go into a little bit more of the blue ocean strategy and framework. which we call the strategy canvas. So in the strategy canvas, this is the offering level, and this is the either low to high, and you can see where the industry is. Like this is a red, and there's no factors down here, but in theory your factors would be down here. So this is the red competition, and then here's you. Here are some factors that the industry is offering, but you don't want to do that. You don't even care about that because guess what? Your customers don't care. So you're going to eliminate those, and then you're going to offer more things that are not currently being offered in the industry. So that's what we call the strategy canvas. And this is a sample. And this is a real estate strategy canvas that I made up with my brokerage. So here we have, like luxury sellers are up here. They're offering the highest of everything. DIY sellers like FSBOs, they're down here. And then here I am in the middle. And this is just an example of how you start the process of examining the services you offer to your clients and how you can start to understand what clients want, what you can eliminate, what you can reduce. Okay? Okay, and then we have something called the 4 Actions Framework. Now in the 4 Actions Framework, you're going to take that strategy canvas that you've already identified, and what you're going to do is decide what you're going to do with each of those. So some of the things that are being offered, you're just going to eliminate that altogether. Some of the services that that are being offered traditionally by brokerages, you're going to reduce that because it's not as important. Other things you're going to raise, and then some things you're going to create. Okay, any questions on that? Okay. So I'll give you guys just a minute right now if you want to just take some notes on what your ideas are so far. Hopefully we've helped you generate a few ideas of things that you can do in your brokerage or as an agent to either reduce or eliminate. I know there's a CE class that a lot of people are going to. Sorry guys, you're going to miss the best part. Okay, so we'll give them a minute. All right, so now we have another case study for you. It's called Buyer Rebate Brokerage. So I thought, wouldn't it be great if I could get more buyers by offering them 100% rebate? Now I know in some states you can't do this, but in California you can. I thought, instead of me keeping the commission from the seller to represent the buyer, I'll just give it all to the buyer and I'll get more customers. Wouldn't that be great? Well, then how would I make money? Okay, well then, how would it make money? They bought a house, then they're required to sell the house through me when they sell it later, and I would profit later. How many think that might be a successful strategy? Okay, okay. That one is not successful. We call it the red ocean. You're competing on price. You may have created additional value for your customers, but guess what? You didn't lower your operational costs. And the worst part is there's no guarantee of profitability ever. By the way, folks in the back or folks who are sitting, we now have some seats vacant. If you guys want to come take these seats right in the front row, and we have some seats right over here. The other thing is the buyer rebate business model does not really align with the industry design, right? Because what if you're depending on that to get paid and there's a very low profit coming from that, or they're not offering a buyer, incentive to the other agent, a co-op agent. It's illegal in some states and it hinges on buyer agent compensation from listing agent. So that is ink, thumbs down. I thought, bad idea, Regina. Let's think of something else. Okay? So here I have another one. I call it Beach Homes Realty. So in this business model, the focus is exclusively on waterfront, lakefront homes, homes by the ocean or the beach or any body of water. In this one, I'm creating additional value because there's tons of baby boomers who are retiring that all want to go live by the beach or the lake or the ocean or something, right? I mean, I live in the beach. I mean, you already know the name of my brokerage is California Coast and Country Homes, so I thought this would be perfect. I've lowered operational costs because I don't have a brokerage that they have to walk into. It's a virtual brokerage. Almost everybody is moving here from out of state, so I don't have to have a brick and mortar brokerage. I don't have to have high overhead. I'm talking to them on the phone. I'm using virtual tools. I identified a new customer niche. Who else is doing that? Nobody. And there's basically no competition. It's fueled by baby boomer retirement, which is a 20-year demographic trend that we know more and more baby boomers are retiring. By the way, how many of us are thinking ahead about all those baby boomers retiring and thinking how you can capture? Awesome. Okay, great. Awesome. Okay? Yeah, start thinking now because it's already happened. I've already seen it in my market and where I live. I actually live in an area where there's very high turnover and a lot of baby boomers, you know, retirement area, Carlsbad, a lot of baby boomers have already been moving in. So to maximize the profit margin, which that is our goal, right? How many would agree? As a brokerage owner, as an agent, as a broker associate, our goal is to maximize the profit margin. So you do that two ways. Number one, by lowering operational costs, and number two, by increasing profitability. And I'm going to show you a little sample income statement. And I don't want you to think that it applies to everybody. It's just a sample with fictitious numbers I put together, okay? So again, if you want advice about your finances, talk to your CPA, accountant, tax preparer for financial advice regarding your specific situation. I'm not able to offer that to you. So what I have here is a sample income statement. We see in this brokerage they have multiple streams of revenue coming from sales transactions, referral fees, property management. How many want to get into property management? Woohoo! Okay, I love it. It's a pain, yes, but it's a great profit stream for a brokerage. Agent fees, debt transaction management fees, consulting fees, BPO fees. So here I have all this multiple streams of revenue coming in, and then I have money going out, cost of sales. I have to pay the other agents, or my agents, referral fees, TC fees. Here I have my gross margin. Then I have my operating expenses, that's my overhead. Salary, benefits, building, lease, marketing, training, tech tools, office supplies, insurance, professional fees, you know, realtor dues, and things like that, risk management, and then I have our net profit. So our goal is to maximize profitability. How do we do that? We do it two ways. Number one, the sale, these are your variable expenses. These are your fixed expenses. These are going down. And then number two is to get the gross margin up and the net profit margin up. So by doing both of those, that's how we maximize profitability. Who's still excited about profitability? Making profits. Woohoo! Okay, awesome. Okay, now we're going to dive into innovation, design, intentionally. That's what today is all about, right? Being innovative. Creating something new. Now, how many of us are creative people? Oh, a lot of us. Great. Now, would you agree that the creative process just magically happens? You just wake up and all of a sudden you have a plan? You're shaking your head no, Rebecca. Okay, I'm going to say that a lot of us have that myth, that the creative process, it just magically happens and you get an inspiration and all of a sudden you have an idea and you have a plan. But actually it's a process, and it's a process that can be learned to go through the steps to create something new. It doesn't just magically happen. So there's to really work on this, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because this is kind of deep, you know, read the book, take some notes. By the way, I'm going to pause for a minute and just share with you a little bit about how I found out about Blue Ocean Strategy. So last year I was working on my MBA degree, which I did graduate in December. As I was working on it, this was one of the classes that was recommended that we go through this. I watched a YouTube video. So for those of you that are here, watch the YouTube video. It's called Blue Ocean Strategy, and it's from at USD, University of San Diego. It's a presentation there. I watched it. I was completely fascinated, and then I watched it 3 times in a row, took tons of notes, and that started my journey. So, you know, and the video's an hour long, so. See you later. So that's where I started at. So today I'm just introducing you to the concept. We're not going to solve all the problems of the world today, but I hope that by introducing you to the concept, you will take this back to your marketplace, back to your office, and spend some time really learning this and put it into action, okay? I know a lot of times we hear great information at conferences, we go home and we never do it, but I would really encourage you to go back to your office, put some of this into practice, try it out, okay? So this is the 6 paths to reconstructing market boundaries of how the head-to-head competition in the red industry focuses on the rivals, your competitors, whereas in the blue ocean, you're looking across alternative industries, other industries. And the strategic group focuses on the competitive position, whereas the blue ocean looks across strategic groups within the industry. In the buyer group, which is your consumers, in the red market, you're focusing on serving them, whereas in the blue ocean, you're going to redefine it and you're going to find new customers that you didn't have before. So I'll let you guys take those snapshots. And so we go through the process called the 6 paths framework of recreating the market, recreating our industry, and recreating the products and services we offer. Okay? So we do have a little activity in there. So if you have a worksheet, you can do your activity, which this helps you think through the process of how you can basically reconstruct the market boundaries. So now we have 3 tiers of non-customers. So right here we can see this is our current market. These are our customers. We're all fighting for the same little group of customers, right? It's no wonder we have head-to-head competition. But here's another tier of soon-to-be customers. Those are people who could be customers, but we haven't invited them to be customers. Then we have refusing customers. Those are people who don't want to be customers. And then we have unexplored. Those are non-customers, and we're going to find out how this relates to real estate. Okay? So we said earlier we have 2 lines. We have brokerage and agents. So if you're a brokerage, your current market is all the current agents. Where do you get your agents from? Do you go plunder your competitors and get their top producers and bring them over? Right? That's pretty much what we do. Okay, but what about those looking outside of that little circle? What about those who are getting licensed? Do we have a way to capture that market? They haven't yet committed to a brokerage. Do we have a way to capture people who are not yet real estate agents who are working in another industry and perhaps they're salespeople, good salespeople, but they haven't thought about a real estate profession? Do we have a way to capture those who are not employed, and maybe that might be the non-customers? Now, for us who are agents or looking at, if you're a brokerage, looking at your secondary market, we're looking at buyers. Pre-approved buyers. We want to cherry pick the best leads. We only want pre-approved buyers. If a buyer calls me, they're not pre-approved, we say go away, come back when you're approved, right? What if we could expand that market a little bit? What about curious renters? That's soon to be. What about if we had a pipeline, a way that we could take people maybe with bad credit, people with not enough down payment, people who haven't been on their jobs too long, and what if we could nurture them and put them in a long pipeline that eventually they became our clients? Wouldn't that be worth it? What if it was a 2-year process? Are you still going to be in business in 2 years? What about people who are, I said tier 3 is refusing, I call it mooching off the parents, right? So they have a good job, but they're just comfortable, they don't want to move. So definitely those could be a client base that you could look at that nobody else is looking at because they haven't said, hey, I'm looking for a house for sale. So it's your job to go out and find those people and bring them in. What about, we said, renters with bad credit? So they think they have no hope of buying. but is there a way that you can put a process in place to reach out to a wider circle, widen your net to where the competitor is not reaching and bring them into the fold eventually? Okay, everybody getting some good ideas? Yay, awesome. All right, so we have a little case study here. I know we only got about 5 minutes, but this is, I won't go through it all, but this is REO brokers. What happens when the market changes? Eat. There goes your brokerage if you're completely focused on REOs, as I thought about doing at one time, but I decided not to, thank goodness. I have something brand new that I did think of. It's called a subscription model. And so everybody here, congratulations for staying. You'll hear it for the very first time. What about if a seller didn't have to pay you a commission when they moved out because they've already paid you in advance? What if they pay you a subscription every single year? And for that subscription, you bundle and provide some services like a home warranty, right? Or some other services that they might need. Give them a valuation for their house. Why are they going to those third-party websites anyways? To find the value of their house. Because we as agents and brokers, we're not providing it, and that's what homeowners want. Isn't that true? That's what they want, and we're not providing it, so somebody else is. So we didn't fill a need in the marketplace. Can you fill that need? Can you provide sellers with information about their house, information about their market in a regular monthly format? Can you provide them with things that they need for their house and other services and charge them a monthly or an annual fee that covers the cost of your commission, and they don't have to pay a commission when they sell their house? That would be revolutionary, right? So that's something just to think about. I'm not saying I'm going to go out and do it tomorrow. Anybody is welcome to steal this idea because you're here. I'm saying think outside the box of traditional, what we've always done, what's always been done in our industry. Why? Because you create additional value, lower your operational costs, identify new customers who might have gone FSBO, and you'll have no competition for many years until the competitors catch on and copy you. Okay, so in conclusion, don't drown in deep waters. What does that mean? Make sure you have a sustainable plan. Don't sell away too far from the shore. You have to lose sight of it, but you can't sell too far away in uncharted waters without a plan. And be prepared for the long journey. It's not a quick and easy journey. We think, a lot of people say, oh, real estate, that's a quick way to make a buck. We know it's not, right? We know it's a long journey, have to be prepared for, and there are hidden icebergs under the surface, aren't there? So take action, make sure you implement your action plan, swim back to safety if you need it, get some help, get some resources, and here's the books that I recommend: Blue Ocean Strategy, Blue Ocean Shift, The Art of Innovation, and this one also is Changed by Design. I'll let you guys take a few photos. I see you taking photos of that. Okay. So those are 4 awesome books to start out with. By the way, how many like to listen to the books in their car? Okay, I do too. Car University. Get the book on Audible. Listen as you drive. So any questions? I am available. You can find me on Facebook. All right, thank you, everybody.